Coming up on Hogan Johns, Ben Johnson joins the show for the first time. No time to waste. Let's go. What's up? Welcome in Hogue and Johns with an episode from Halas Hall with the head coach, Ben Johnson.
We are in the Decatur room. We have done interviews in this room before. We've had Ryan Poles join the show here. I've done different interviews myself, one-on-one interviews in this room as well, but this is the first time we get to sit down with the head coach, one-on-two.
And the first time he's talked since that practice on Tuesday that we all thought was very, very physical, so let's not waste any time. We jump right in with Ben Johnson on Hogan Johns. Ben Johnson on Hogan Johns for the first time. We appreciate it.
Yeah, excited to be here.
I know our listeners and viewers are excited about it too. Let's start with Tuesday's practice. We've been covering this team for a pretty long time, 14, 15 years, and we both agree that's the most physical practice that we've covered. What went into that, and did you get out of it what you were hoping?
Yeah, I think there was a number of things that came out of the Family Fest that we as a staff wanted to make sure we talked about, and so we addressed it with the team, and they responded. It really comes down to that at the end of the day. What was supposed to be just one live period kind of trickled into several periods of real good physical football that, you know, when you watch it, there was some ugly mixed in there, but yet the intent and the physicality that showed up, it was really second to none. And we needed to see that as a staff. Our guys, I thought they did a great job competing. I think if you ask most of them, they actually enjoyed that practice more than what we've had so far in camp. And so what we want to be about is physical. And we always talk about that, and I think the first thing that comes to mind is what the trenches look like and dominating the line of scrimmage. And that's certainly the number one spot is offensively we want to displace that line of scrimmage, and defensively we talk about attacking blocks and knocking guys back. And so that showed up really on both sides of the ball. It was a little give or take throughout the day there, but I think with the most physical teams in this league they have their skill players get involved. And so we talked with Randall L. and those receivers, they're going and cracking safeties and corner and getting after it, mixing it up there on Tuesday, which was really good to see. We hadn't seen a ton of that up until Tuesday. So some guys really stood out for us in that regard. Same thing, how well do our perimeter players on defense, how willing are they to come up and tackle? And so, once again, it comes down to what do you want to be, what do you want teams to see when you turn on the tape, and we saw a lot of that on Tuesday. Now, what the great teams do, it's not just a one-time thing. They do it over and over and over again. And so the message to the team will be, we really only have about 11 padded practices throughout training camp. That was practice number 6. And so we got 5 more, and now that's the standard. That's how we want to be. That's how we want to practice going forward when we're in pads. And so 2 of those will be joint practices coming up here, and then we'll have 3 more against each other, but that's you don't just turn it on Sunday. Anytime you're in those pads, that's who you are and who you want to be.
Was there any point, maybe the second fight, third fight, where you're thinking about calling this off, or is this the intensity that you want to carry over, like you're saying? Like, how did you handle?
Yeah, I wasn't worried about that. Certainly when we get into the joints, that won't be tolerated at all. We're not going to have that there. But it was actually good to see our guys toe that line is really what we're talking about. And you got to toe it to know what's too far and what's not far enough. And so we crossed it a little bit. There was some things at the end of practice that bothered me. Yeah, I mean, you don't throw a football at a defender, things like that are going to cost you when you're in a drill setting like that. And so we ended up having on sportsmanlike, had to move it back, and the offense lost the drill because of it. And so learning opportunities. We want to play aggressive. We want to play inspired football, but at the same time, we have to be smart and keep our emotions in check. We use it as a fuel, but yet we can't allow that to overcome the precision and the detail with which we play.
Did everyone come out of practice okay? I know we saw Cole leave and not come back.
Yeah, I think we ended up with a couple guys that'll be out, but Cole's going to be one that I think he's practicing here today, and so he's just fine. But a couple guys are going to be out for a little bit as they recover. Yep.
The intensity struck me because 4 days away, it's the Miami Dolphins. Like, what's the plan? What have you talked to Mike Daniel about of what's going to take place on Friday?
Yeah, he's looking, I know with his unit, he's looking to get some really good work with their starters in, and so are we. And that's really going to be the emphasis. Our ones are going to get the majority of the workload. We'll still get plenty with the twos and the threes mixed in there, but this is going to be huge for really our starting offense and our starting defense to see where we stand. Because when you go against each other for so long, it's really hard to gauge. And so I know, like, Miami's got a ton of speed on offense. Yeah. And the way we want to play defense is to challenge, be up in your face, reroute you, man-to-man. And so it'll be a little bit of a track meet here for our coverage guys to run with some of these guys. Because, I mean, it's speed not only with the wideouts, but some of these running backs are 4-3 guys as well. So our backers are going to have a lot on their hands trying to keep them under control. So that's what we're looking at on that side of the ball. And then offensively, when we're looking at their defense, they do a number of things. You know, Weave comes from that Baltimore style of defense that really is a little unorthodox, gives you a lot of problems, and so for Caleb, the rest of the quarterbacks, it'll be completely different. Maybe get a little bit more access on the sides that we haven't had yet. They have some pressure packages that'll be very challenging for us to pick up. So. I can't wait to see what that looks like as well.
It sounded like going into yesterday's off day, you were going to kind of regroup and come up with a more concrete plan for this weekend between the joint practice and the game on Sunday. Did you kind of finalize that and how when you're going to play this?
You want me to go ahead and spill the beans?
I mean, we would love it.
Yeah, okay.
Floor is yours.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to get answered tomorrow anyways, but the thought here is there's going to be a number of guys that aren't playing in this game. I haven't even told the team this yet, but there's going to be a number of guys that aren't playing in the game. So we're going to get great work in the joint practice. We have a number of things scheduled around the game for those guys that aren't playing, whether it's the day before or the day after, where we're actually going to end up getting more reps for them than they would have had we played them week one in this game. So I'm actually really excited about that. I think the numbers as they stand right now, subject to change, are probably 9 guys on offense, 9 guys on defense that won't be playing here.
Is number 18 part of that?
He's one of those. Yeah, he's one of those.
To talk about the quarterback, 12 of 12 installs are in. What goes into a Ben Johnson install? Like, can you take us through your process a little bit, from the meeting rooms to the walkthroughs to the actual on-the-field action?
Yeah,
giving everything away.
I mean, we're trying to, it's different situational football when you look at it. I mean, we've had plenty of days where it's been base downs, which is just normal first and second down. I probably put second and long into that category, although in my head I kind of put that to the side a little bit because that's a little bit more get back on track mentality. So we've had probably 3 or 4 installs just solely based on our run game, our play actions, our movements, some drop back mixed in there, but that's what you're looking at there. We've had probably 3 third down days. We've had 3 red zone installs. We've had some short yardage goal line the other day. 4 minutes been in there, backed up's kind of gotten in it. So you're trying to just have not only install the plays, but also the philosophy behind how we operate and how our minds need to work when we're put in these different situations. Like the Family Fest, for example, we had the backed up situation, which our goal offensively is to get at least 2 first downs. You know, if we've done that, then we will have done a pretty good job backed up. We always want to score, don't get it twisted, but yet if we do what we did in Family Fest and we give up safeties or we keep it backed up, we're making life hard for our punter. And so we want to be able to flip the field at a minimum if we start backed up. So it was a great job by the defense there in that drill. They really took advantage of it. you better believe we'll get another opportunity of that as camp goes through, so that we can hone our skills on that. But that's really what you're looking at in the installs. It's not so much the magic of the plays, it's more so the philosophy and the thought process that us as a coaching staff, we have, and we want the players to have when they're in those situations on the field.
So this is where we get pretty football-y. I want to talk play action with you. You know how important that is. We've seen, there's different types of play action, obviously, and it seems like we've seen a little bit of that. So, simplify it as much as we can for people listening. Your more typical, really hard sell, like you're handing off, backs totally back to the defense. That your more traditional play action. We've also sort of seen the Aaron Rodgers hip, ball at the hip a little bit, where you're sort of, I don't know what you call that, but where you're sort of maybe peeking behind you a little bit too. Just can you go through the advantages of having, different ways of doing it and how that helps your quarterback?
Yeah, I think it always starts with the protection, and so take the fake aspect out of it to start with. It's who are we worried about on their defense, or what pressures are we worried about on their defense? Can our tight end block their defensive end one-on-one or not? These are all things that we think about on a weekly basis when it comes to the play action game. But what are the most sound protections that we feel good about being able to push the ball down the field for these chunk or explosive plays, yet we're not going to put the quarterback at any pressure within the first 2.5 seconds of the drop after the snap. And so that's the starting point, and then becomes the who do we want to manipulate on that side of the ball, on the defensive side of the ball, in terms of if it's a zone coverage, how do we get him out of his coverage responsibility because of the play fake? Is it fake at him? Is it wide zone away from him to manipulate him? And then replace him with the ball and the receiver running through that zone. And so there's a lot of that goes into it, and that's a weekly basis that we get into with our game plan. What type of action does it need to be to manipulate the defender the most? Because at the end of the day, that's what it is. We're trying to get the chunk play action, call it the 10 to 20 yard range. That's where catch and run opportunities exist. And if it's not there, what we're trying to instill in our quarterbacks is the check down mentality. Let's get it to our backs, let's get it to our tight ends underneath. And there's still 5, 8, 10 yard gains to be had by just dumping it down.
Would the second part of that be Caleb's eyes, getting it to the right, at least getting to his first progression as fast as possible, just so he could?
Yeah, it depends on the play, and the timing of the route. So some might be 5 or 6 steps, depending on which way we open up, and others might be 7 or 8. And shoot, we even have some that end up going 9 or 10 step drops. And so some of those hard play action fakes. And so, yeah, he's got to be able to trust that he can flip back around. And I always equate it, and I've told him this, to a Navy SEAL, where you go into a house, you kick down the door, and within a split second, you got to decide, can I take this shot or not? Or is it friend or foe? It's as quickly as that. So it's no different for him when he turns the back to the defense. When he flips back around, his eyes have to be in the right spot, and it's, is he open or not, and can I fit it in there or not? And I think he's really taken that analogy pretty well as we've gone throughout training camp to decide, hey, can I do it? And you only learn what you can't do by pushing those limits a little bit as well, because there's some tight windows that we actually encourage him to try to say, hey, can we fit that in there or not? And you learn quickly, oh no, if it looks like that next time, I just need to dump it underneath. Or, oh no, I do have the arm talent to be able to fit that thing in there. And so there's been a little bit of that throughout camp also.
So today's practice 12, in what area has Caleb improved the most in training camp so far for you, and what area does he still really need to hone in between now and that Vikings game?
Yeah, it's really twofold. It's really the same answer for both for me, because we have made immense strides from him hearing the play call and being able to get it out to the rest of the guys and us go, but at the same time, we're not where we need to be. I mean, you saw it just the other day, the delay of games are coming up, and that's something that we have to work through, because I can be a little bit more concise and clear with the play calls to him in those settings. That was our first time on the actual stadium speaker to quarterback, to the green dot deal, and it wasn't quite the same as what we've been doing in practice. And so that's where we're gonna work through that issue, and we're gonna be just fine. But we can't allow the pre-snap stuff to affect what's going on with whether it's penalties or whether it's we got guys not quite sure of their job assignment, thing like that. So we have made significant strides. We're not ready for prime time quite yet, though.
In building your plan for him, like who did you turn to for advice? Who are some of the influences? Because in many ways, this is kind of new for you too, with a second-year quarterback, new offense.
It is, but the guy we had in Detroit had played a number of snaps in this league prior to, and so that's a different situation. But my first job in the NFL was with Miami, and we had a rookie quarterback that first year in Ryan Tannehill. And so the first 2 years, he had some familiarity with the scheme because Mike Sherman had coached him at A&M, and there was a lot of carryover to that. But the third year, we really started from scratch for him. And so we redid, I still remember all springtime, we redid the footwork from the ground up. And I mean, it was time over and over and over. Bill Lazor had come in to call plays, and his whole thought process was the Chip Kelly run game from the Philadelphia Eagles married up with the Mike Martz passing game. And so it was brand spanking new for Ryan, yet he worked hard and diligently at it, and he had a pretty good year there. I think that was, 2014. He made some significant strides in terms of his career. And so I see a lot of parallels to what went on there to where we're at here with Caleb, just starting over a little bit in terms of the fundamentals, and yet he's learning a brand new system at the same time. So there's growing pains, and that's really the fun part about it, because he's taken this thing head on. I'm proud. And I meet with him every player day. We sit down and we kind of recap how the last little bit went and what we need to do going forward. And I'm really proud of how he's approached this thing. He's taken the coaching, and we're fortunate that we have time to still get to where we need to for week one and going into this first stretch of the season because we need it. And it's, like I said when we started training camp, it's a race. We simply can't get enough reps right now.
My last question for you, Antoine Randall, you had him address the crowd at Soldier Field. Mm-hmm. He's from here. Mm-hmm. He has an amazing story here. He's drafted by the Cubs, played for Bobby Knight. Like, what is he? He's your assistant head coach. Can you encapsulate what he kind of means for you to this team? He's
my blankie, is what he is. He's a guy that we grew very close over those years in Detroit together. He's a guy I trust. He's a darn good coach, but he's a great man. He's a man of faith. He cares about the people around him. All he wants to do is elevate others, and I think our guys see that. I really do. So his story is exceptional. I think our guys, they eat up. I've seen them. I've had them talk to the team a few times now, and just they are locked in. I can see them. They just can't wait. They just eat up everything that's coming out of his mouth. So there's immense amount of respect from the locker room to him. I know the coaching staff feels the same way. We're very fortunate that he's here with us. I know those receivers, they're going to play really well this year. He's helping my transition into my new role immensely.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We know you got to get out to practice. I got a couple more. I'll have to save them for the next press conference.
That's right. You didn't know I was going to be so long with my answers, right? Yeah.
Love it. We appreciate it. But yeah, Ben Johnson joining us on Hogan Johns. Thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
Well, that was a fun, pretty deep conversation with Ben Johnson. And actually, I was being serious. I had a list of like 3 other things I wanted to get into. So we'll have to circle back on some of those things. I know we got a lot to react to from that interview, so we will do that on the other side of this quick timeout. Hey, just like your favorite team needs a home field advantage, your home needs a home floor advantage. Empire Today can help you get exactly that, because Empire Today has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. You've been to those big box stores, you've gone through all those aisles, bring all those materials home, then you need somebody to set it all up for you. Not with Empire Today. They have a actual flooring, that's what they do, flooring. Not a flooring department, flooring. So you get up clear, upfront, and inclusive pricing with Empire today. So schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. CHGO listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code CHGO. Yep, you heard that right. $350 discount with code CHGO. Restrictions apply. Visit empiretoday.com/CHGO for full details. That's empiretoday.com/CHGO for full details, or 1-800-588-2300-EMPIRE. And once you get your flooring figured out, if you got any issues with your AC since it's been so hot out, call Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. They've been serving Chicagoland for over 50 years. Now is your time to get your AC checked out. Four Seasons experts are ready to help you with AC installation, maintenance, and repair. Last year was officially Chicago's hottest year on record. I don't know if we're going to quite get to that this year. Not sure, but it sure has been hot. When it's hot and humid, you want to know that your home is cool and comfortable. So Four Seasons expert technicians, they're going to make sure that you receive reliable service. The best part is they don't charge more for service during nights, weekends, and holidays. Your trusted local experts are Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com. All right, Johnsy, what do you want to start with?
Well, let's talk about the practice. I think he got everything he wanted out of that practice. He was not going to call off the contact. The one play that frustrated him, it did come in a team drill. DeAndre Swift was still running hot, and he threw the ball. I forget which player he threw it at, but there was contact, unsportsmanlike penalty called, and that's why the offense lost the drill. But a side note of that was Ben Johnson sending him off the field. EB gets someone else in here, and he sends in, I think, Roshan Johnson, and then Eric Bieniemy made sure that DeAndre Swift ran off the field instead of walking off the field. So he's getting what he wants. He's holding players accountable, and that intensity is part of his makeup.
Yeah, and what I liked, too, from hearing that is that's him saying that's the standard now. Like, that's how we should be practicing when the pads are on. Now, I'm not sure they're going to go to that extent with the live periods again. We'll see. But I think that set the tone for how I think the reason why he did that on Tuesday was to set the tone for how he wants to see them practice on Friday against the Dolphins.
And we did confirm that there was only one live period scheduled. And I love that. That's seeing practice unfold and it's adjusting on the fly. And he wanted that style of play. He wanted the nasty. He wanted the intensity. You know what? I think he wanted some of the fights too. He wanted them to play down that line, play with that edge, play with that demeanor. It's the style of football that he wants, that smash mouth football that he wants, that in-your-face football that he wants, and he got it. He got a lot of it.
Yeah, and it just adds even more credence to what we wrote about the other day in our practice report, allchgo.com. It's just this idea that, Cole got hurt. He mentioned there's a couple other guys that are going to be out from that practice, and a lot of coaches would get scared and dial things back. He did the opposite. I mean, he literally did the opposite. He's like, nope, let's go even harder. Let's have more live periods. That's pretty telling.
Yes, yeah. And it's honestly, I don't know, what's the best way to put it? It's refreshing. It's beyond good to see because we've covered practices where there's not much football, real football. It's like two-hand touch, and they're hitting the guy in the hip. They're literally smacking him on the hip, and that's supposed to count as a tackle? No, it's not a tackle. Even on Tuesday, I saw, I forget which linebacker it is.
I know what you're going with. It was Amen Agbangbamiga.
Yeah, he smacked him on the hip. I got him. No, you didn't. No. That is not a tackle, especially in a day like Tuesday where you want the live contact. I think Major Burns got the message as he lays out Joel Wilson later in practice. I think that it came after that, but it's I'm gonna call it refreshing to see real football played because we know at all levels beyond the NFL this takes place in practice.
Yeah, real football. We don't see that a lot in training camp anymore. So that was refreshing to see.
I think I got an idea for a new shirt. Real football.
Real football? Yeah. So now we'll see Friday's practice against the Dolphins, and you can tell that Ben Johnson's putting a lot of stock in that confirmation now here on Hogan Johns that Caleb Williams and, what do you say, up to 9
starters,
offensive starters which makes sense. I wonder why. I mean, we could have kept prodding. We had limited time, but I'm assuming because you got that left tackle competition still open, that might be one of the spots where your one plays, because they got to see those guys in the continue to play out that competition with some live reps.
But like Colson Loveland's listed as a starter right now. I'm sure he's going to get some reps in the preseason, at least a few.
Right. Yeah. So that makes sense. I think that. Look, every year's different, every team's different, and I think as long as there's a purpose behind it, and I think we feel that purpose with Ben Johnson, I can trust that the barometer he's using, he's earned the benefit of the doubt right now. I feel like that Caleb Williams doesn't need to play this week. Fine. I have a feeling they might reevaluate this time next week. So what happened in that practice? What happened with those extra reps they're planning for Monday now after the game? And if they accomplish everything they need to accomplish this time next week, then he might do the same thing. He might say, you know what, let's do the same thing against the Bills. You don't need to play in the game. But if some of those things that Ben also talked about in that interview that Caleb's got to still get better at, if that's still not there, I could see him pivoting a week from now and playing some of those guys against the Bills.
And you still have the Chiefs game.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's the third preseason game, and usually, that used to be the dress rehearsal game before the fourth preseason game, which no longer exists. So maybe that's an opportunity for Caleb Williams to play a quarter and a half, maybe a full half. Who knows who the Chiefs are going to play? Obviously, they don't have to play Patrick Mahomes and whatnot, but we know Andy Reid, he's done it before. His starters have seen the field in the preseason, so maybe that's the final opportunity. Maybe that becomes the dress rehearsal that Caleb Williams and the rest of the offensive line, the starters, DJ Moore, and everyone else needs.
Yeah, it's possible. I think I'm okay with him handling it this way this weekend. Again, because there's a plan. I mean, we've never seen a coach have practice the day after a game. So I'm sure the players that play, a ton on Sunday aren't going to be expected to come out there and hit anybody on Monday. But they're going to accomplish what they need to accomplish with those reps, it sounds like. So we'll have to. It's different, but I think that's okay because a lot of the same that we've seen in the past hasn't worked.
No.
So I'm all right with it. All right. Is there anything else that you wanted to get into because we haven't really had a chance to react on this show to what we saw Tuesday. We talked a little bit about it on CHGO the other day. But we're recording this right before practice starts today, so maybe we'll learn a little bit more. We know today's a lighter practice in shells, so I don't know how much we're actually going to learn today, but I still think it was a tone setter, so I'm interested to see how these guys react today.
Yeah, I'm sure some guys are banged up. I'm sure some guys are sore, but to have them maybe go through that lighter practice, I think it's still important. It really is, because it's a tough sport. You're going to have to play with some of this stuff. But this is like real callousing.
Yeah.
Is it not? DeAndre Swift got tackled a bunch on Tuesday. Roschon Johnson the same. We saw Cole Kmet carry defenders down the left sideline. So I'm sure we know Cole Kmet, he's dealing with some stuff right now. But
Jimmy back on the field today.
Yeah.
That's
great news.
Well, that's why I was so concerned the other day, was because it takes a lot to get Cole off the field.
Yeah.
So obviously he avoided a serious injury, which is good, and I still thought he might miss a couple days, but sounds like he's going to be back out there.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens, but to your point, it does sound like, you can see the plan. It makes sense, and he's willing to explain the plan to us too, which I think is important because we don't have as many questions and things to criticize when that's in place.
Yeah. So we're kind of halfway through this. So they just had their 6th padded practice. I believe there's 5 more camp. So you're sort of at the halfway marker, but before the preseason games even start. It seems like an okay time to take a step back and where are we at? Your confidence level in Caleb Williams? When I hear Ben Johnson talk about it, he sounds both pleased with the progress so far, and I don't want to say worried, but just a little bit. He mentioned again how it's a race. There's still got to be a sense of urgency here that everything else that needs to get figured out before that opener against the Vikings. He said it himself in that interview. They're not ready for primetime right now, and that's not surprising. But the question is, how confident are you that he'll get there?
Where is where? I'm confident that he'll be more than a serviceable starter, but how many of those highlight reel plays, how many of those plays full of stardom come out, and he's the difference maker that the Bears think he can be? I want to see more of it. I think he's been purposely challenged here in training camp, not only by Dennis Allen's defense, but by Ben Johnson and what he wants to do. It's been an adjustment for him. Everything that we just talked about play action with his eyes, we've seen him not turn around quickly enough, get his eyes in the right place enough, and now he's late. Now he has to take the check down. Sometimes he doesn't even hit the check down, which is a problem. But I'm trying to tell myself that's okay because he's learning a new offense, just like Ben Johnson just said. He's being built from the ground up. He's got new receivers to throw to. He's learned, there's so many things that are new for him that I'm willing to be patient, at least in my evaluation of him. I'm not going to make any grand proclamations about what he is or what he can do, but he seems like he's on the right path, and I'm willing to trust Ben Johnson's plan for him at this moment.
I like the Ryan Tannehill tangent he went on in that interview because it puts it, I think, in a proper perspective if you listen to that carefully.
Yeah.
Because he talked about how it took not just 1 year, but 2 years with Ryan Tannehill. And the timeline's slightly off, obviously, because Caleb's already in year 2, but he's in year 1 of this system. And so when you talk about him, when he talks about, stripping down the footwork, starting at ground zero and all that, it's just a little bit of a reminder that I think it's fair to say. So when I ask that question, are they going to be, ready for prime time? Well, they might be ready enough to pull out that game, but they're certainly not going to be or Caleb specifically, or the offense where they want to be, and that's okay because ideally you want to be peaking in December.
Yeah, I mean he could be ready he could be as ready as much as possible for week 1, and he could still have a bad game against Brian Flores' defense because you know what? That's what Brian Flores' defenses do.
Yeah.
They confuse the hell out of you. They blitz you. They get after you. They hit you. They hit you in the mouth. All that stuff. That's the demeanor they want to play with. So, yes, and it's a long season. Nobody wants to hear this message of being patient. Bears fans will tell you in the comments they've been patient long enough, but really, I think you have to be. Year 2 with Ben Johnson next year is going to be a lot different than it is right now because Caleb Williams will have a full season of game experiences to expand upon.
Yeah.
He doesn't have that right now. He's building off of something that was literally thrown out the door when Ben Johnson arrived. So, teaching patience, I get it. No one wants to hear it, but it's the hard truth of what's going on here.
But this is where coaching matters so much in the NFL, and where I'm confident that Ben Johnson's going to put Caleb in a better position come game day. So let's just say he's even 60% of the way to where Ben Johnson's hoping he'll be 2 or 3 years down the road. And maybe that's even generous. Let's even lower that. Let's say it's 50%. He's only halfway there. Well, a good coach is going to take that 50%, and then he's going to pare that down to 20% of the stuff he's good at that'll work against that opponent they're playing that week. And so all this stuff that he's getting thrown at here in training camp, where you're seeing the delay of games, or you're seeing him be slow to get this play in, or whatever it might be, good coaches are going to take, okay, here's the 50% or whatever that we know is working, and then here's the 20% of that we think will work to beat the Minnesota Vikings this week. And then the next week when they play the Lions, it might be a different 20%. Yeah. But as long as you stay in that range, and you could still add a little bit more as you make progress, so then maybe by the end of the season, that 50% is more like 60%, and you have a little bit more to work off of. Yeah. That's what good coaching does. Last year, it seemed like he was being asked to do the other 50, or maybe 80% that he wasn't comfortable with, and it just never clicked.
At this point in camp, and we have a good piece up on All CHGO about it where we give our first impressions of the rookies. At this point in camp, I am more than confident to say that I know for a fact that he is surrounded, Caleb Williams is surrounded by some exceptional weapons, and that now includes Colston Loveland and Luther Burden III. They are part of an impressive group of weaponry that includes DJ Moore, Ruma Dunze, DeAndre Swift even, and Roshan Johnson, and third downs, Cole Kmet as well. At some point, maybe he just has to be the point guard and spread the ball a little bit around, and there's nothing wrong with that. Use your weaponry, if you have to scale things back a little bit to where he gets comfortable, that's fine. It's part of learning to play quarterback. But like if I have any maybe concrete takeaways like you were asking for at this point in camp before the Dolphins come to town, is I think the Bears have some playmakers, and that includes 2 rookies right now.
And again, that's where coaching. You find the ways to get the ball in the hands of the playmakers with what you know Caleb can do.
Yeah.
So, all right, we'll take our final time out here. We'll come back and we'll tee up what's going to be going on this weekend with what we know now about the joint practices and the game on Sunday. Hey, good news if you missed the introductory Hogan John's Die Hard offer. We got a new one for you. $36 intro offer. Now, this is more similar to our usual CHGO Die Hard sign-up. So, you can still get the Hogan John's t-shirt if you'd like as your free shirt when you sign up, or you can pick a different one too. So it's not automatic. You can pick your free shirt out of our entire library of merch for CHGO, but the Hogan John's shirt is still available. $36 intro offer to get everything you get when you sign up to be a Die Hard, which is 20% off all merch. If you want more, you can also get 20% off all events. We got some big ones coming up, including our golf outing at Cog Hill later on this month. Don't want to miss that. So the intro offer's back on. All of our Die Hard content, our practice reports, the Johnsy and I write up, it's all there for you. Get it right now. And by the way, we have our first impressions up right now with the rookie class for Die Hard, so you can catch that right now. Also going on tomorrow, depending on when you're listening to it. I should just say Friday, because it's Friday evening from 5 to 7. You can join us for a live show after the joint practice. Myself, Mark Carmen, Greg Braggs. We're going to be at Circus Sportsbook and American Place Casino. 1 hour live show followed by an opportunity to hang out with us, talk Bears for a little bit longer. We'll probably go beyond 7, if we're being honest. So that's going on. Do not miss it. Circus Sportsbook at American Place Casino, Friday, August 8th from 5 to 7. The good news is free, completely free. Bad news is 21 plus. No kids allowed, but it's going to be a great time. It's an awesome casino. Get your prop bets in for this season as well. We'll talk Bears. Again, it's happening. Circus Sportsbook and American Place Casino, Friday night, 5 to 7. Join us. All right, Johns, what are you most excited about with the Dolphins coming to Halas Hall?
Well, I want to see if the Bears can play with the same intensity that they had on Tuesday. And it's easy to say that they will, but can they be as aggressive, as in your face? Because I think I don't know if everyone has it, to be honest, on the roster. I think Ben Johnson's trying to figure out which players fit that across the board, offense, defense, especially under the offensive defensive lines. Like who is willing to play this way all the time. Dolphins will be a good challenge. If I'm watching anything, it's whoever Ozzie Trapillo is facing in one-on-ones, and then especially the team periods. And then, I want to see if Colston Loveland can break free. I want to see if Luther Burden can continue to break free. And like if I'm being selfish, if the Bears are being selfish, I think you want to see some clean 2-minute drills or red zone periods from Caleb Williams.
So the Dolphins have had a bunch of issues at cornerback. They're thin there. I don't think it's asking too much to say. Now, the way they usually do this is they'll split up on 2 fields. So you're going to have Mike McDaniel, Dolphins offense, go up against Dennis Allen, Bears defense on one field, and then you're going to have the Bears offense going up Dolphins defense on the other side. I don't think it's asking too much to think that the Bears offense should come out on top on that field tomorrow. Now, but I think a lot of that will be decided up front with what you brought up, with the pass rush. And so how efficient can Caleb be? Because in my mind, these playmakers that the Bears have, at least 1 or 2 of them should be open on most of these plays when they hit the passing game. So I'll be interested to see that, if Caleb can find those guys and throw with accuracy. I think that'll be a big test for him tomorrow. And then with whatever running periods they do, and I don't know if it's going to be live or not. That'll be interesting. Should be live. It'll be interesting to see. But based on the tone the Bears set Tuesday, I'd like to see them dominate the run game too.
Based on everything that Ben just told us during our interview with him, I imagine him and Mike McDaniel are on the same page, where they want to ramp it up. They want the physicality. They want the live tackling, so they don't have to do it in the preseason game. So so they could get other players some reps in this game. Like Ben said, it's going to be a lot of the starters getting the action on Friday, which also helps us, evaluate the depth chart. You see where people really stand, where these players really stand on the roster.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I love these joint practices. I think you can learn some things from them, too. Last year the Bengals came here. It was a weird day because it poured. But the Bears got after them. The Bears were the better team that day, and we said that. Now, at the end of the season, the Bengals did enough that they won a bunch of games in December and ended up with a better record. But look at how the season started. The Bears were 4-2 at one point. The Bengals started 0-3, I believe, and they were playing from behind all season long, even though Joe Burrow was, even though he didn't win MVP, probably had the best quarterback season from a pure passing standpoint last season. He was unbelievable. Their defense just stunk. So that carried over. You saw that. Like the Bears got I think I said it at the time, if I was a Bengals reporter covering that team that day, I would have been like, there's some major issues here. And I think a lot of that carried over for what was a pretty good football team. They ended up not making the playoffs, being left out on the last game.
I even there's even a better opponent coming to town next week.
Oh, the Bills.
The Bills.
Yeah.
You're getting a superstar. You're talking about MVPs.
Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah. he's back, baby. We should get him on the pod.
We could try.
We could try. Josh Allen, you jerk. He's coming to town. But that's like a true test. And it's honestly like a good barometer, too, as you're watching Josh Allen going against the Bears defense versus Caleb Williams going against the Bills defense. You could kind of compare and contrast, at least the comfort level, because Josh Allen, he took 2 or 3 years to become Josh Allen. Mm-hmm. And now he's one of the best players in the league. He is the best player in the league, according to the polling last year. So that's even more fun, I think, coming in the future.
Yeah, it really seems like, it's really the next 2 weeks from where we're recording on Thursday, right? So 2 weeks from today is that Chiefs game. So you had 2 joint practices, 3 preseason games. That's kind of that's the point where you need to be, because everything after that is basically getting ready for the Vikings.
Yeah,
so,
true.
All right, so it moves fast, but it was really good to have Ben Johnson on the show today. We appreciate his time. We got to get out to the practice field, too.
You're going on right now.
Yeah, and so, hope everybody enjoyed the show. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe on YouTube. Rate and review the pod. It's good to be back after it with the last few weeks with all these episodes, and awesome to have both Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson on the show here in the preseason as well. So again, please subscribe, please hit that like button, send the show on to a friend so we can keep building this thing up. We appreciate it. We'll be back early next week.
See ya.